All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at a place that might not be on your radar for launching a European business, but absolutely should be, Romania. We're going to break down why it's such a powerful option and, just as important, the new rules you have to know before you jump in.
So let me ask you something. When you think about the best place to launch a startup in the EU, you're probably picturing Berlin, maybe Paris, right? Well, what if I told you the real fast track is actually in Bucharest? Yeah, Romania is becoming a serious hub for founders, and you're about to see why.
First off, let's talk about speed. And I mean real speed. Thanks to a pretty slick digital process, you can get your company officially approved by the National Trade Register in as little as 3 working days. 3 days! That is unbelievably fast and a massive plus when you're ready to hit the ground running.
Now, this one is huge. Romania lets you have 100% foreign ownership of your company. You don't need a local partner, you don't have to give up any equity, nothing. You have complete and total control from day one. For an international founder, that kind of autonomy is a total game changer.
And, of course, we've got to talk about the money. Your operational costs, we're talking everything from salaries to office space, can be anywhere from 34 to 51% lower than what you'd pay in Western Europe. That's a massive amount of cash you can pump right back into growing the business.
So, look, the opportunity is obviously there. It's fast, it's cheap, you're in control. But, and this is really important, the rules of the game are changing. There are a lot of new laws coming into effect, and this is where you really need to pay attention to the details.
Okay, so the main thing you'll be dealing with is called an SRL. Think of it as Romania's version of an LLC. It's the go-to legal structure for like 90% of foreign founders because it's flexible, it protects your personal assets, and it's basically tailor-made for startups and small businesses.
And you can really see why the SRL is so popular when you put it next to an SE, which is a big joint stock company. The SRL is just so much more accessible. You can have just one shareholder or up to 50. The capital you need to put in is way lower, and the rules for running it are much more flexible. Exactly what you need when you're just starting out. But this brings us to one of the biggest recent changes. It used to be that you could start an SRL with almost no capital at all. Well, that's gone. Starting in 2025, there's a new tiered system. The amount of startup capital you'll need now actually depends on your company's revenue. It's a move to make sure new businesses are more financially solid, but it's a huge detail you have to factor into your planning.
And listen, it's not just a one-off change. Look at this timeline. There's a whole wave of updates happening. The dividend tax already went up, VAT rates are changing soon, and that micro-enterprise threshold, which is a really sweet tax deal, is getting lowered in 2026. You've got to keep these dates on your radar.
Let's just zoom in on that dividend tax for a second. It jumped from 8% to 10%. Now, a 2% increase might not sound like a lot, but if you do the math, that's actually a 25% hike in the tax itself. That's a real difference in the amount of profit you can actually take home.
Now, even with these changes, the tax system can be fantastic, especially for smaller companies. I mean, check out the micro-enterprise deal, a 1% tax on your revenue up to 60,000 euros. That is one of the best rates you'll find anywhere in Europe. But, and this is a big but, you have to meet the conditions. You need at least one employee, and some sectors like IT get pushed into the 3% bracket automatically. If you don't qualify for any of that, you're looking at the standard 16% corporate profit tax.
Okay, so you get the lay of the land now. You see the pros, and you see the new rules. So how do you actually do it? This next part is your step-by-step blueprint to getting your company registered the right way.
Really, it all comes down to these 4 main steps. First, you hop online to the ONRC portal, that's the Trade Register's website, and reserve your company name. Then comes the most important part, preparing all your documents. After that, you file everything with the register. And finally, you get your official certificate of incorporation and your CUI, which is your unique tax ID. The path is pretty clear, but you have to be precise.
And here's what that precision looks like. This is the core checklist. You've got your application forms, a translated and certified copy of your passport, and your articles of association. And yes, those have to be in Romanian. You also need to prove you have a registered office, though a virtual office contract totally works for that, which is great.
I really want to stop here for a second because this quote says it all. Errors in paperwork often lead to delays, financial penalties, or rejected applications. The takeaway here is simple. Precision is everything. Getting this part perfect from the start will save you so much time, money, and just a massive headache down the line.
It's also really important to have realistic expectations on the timing. Yes, that trade register approval is super fast. 3 days is incredible. But to be fully operational, with your VAT registration sorted and your bank accounts all set up, you should plan for about 7 to 10 working days total.
So, you're registered. You've got your tax ID. You're in business. But getting set up is really just the beginning. Running the company is a marathon, not a sprint. And staying compliant is how you stay in the race.
And this is a quick look at your ongoing responsibilities. You'll have regular tax declarations to file, annual financial statements to prepare, and of course, if you hire people, you have to follow all the labor laws. And remember, you have to constantly keep an eye on those micro-enterprise revenue thresholds to make sure you're paying the right amount of tax.
So we'll end with this question, and it's really a question for you. Is your venture ready for this? Romania offers this amazing combination of speed, low cost, and total control. But it's not a free-for-all. It's a high-value opportunity that really demands precision and attention to detail. But if you're up for it, the reward could be the perfect launch pad for your entire European dream.